What's up guys, your agent Tyler Wehrung here, and today we're going to walk you guys back through the flip. We did get everything wrapped up and want to kind of show you guys the after. So with that, let's turn it around. Alright guys, so here it is. Here's the living room where we did really focus a lot on the floors in here. This is all new LVT flooring. If you remember, there was just some rough carpet in there before. Obviously all new paint, and we did decide to get this house staged, which we're super happy with how that turned out. Also, we added all new can lights up top. Let's see how those turned out. You know, in the daytime, the property does get a lot of natural light from this big window and door here, but at nighttime, those can lights really do make a huge difference. All right, so now we'll check out the kitchen area. So in here, we did keep that same LVT flooring throughout. And one of the things that we didn't plan on originally was updating the cabinets. If you remember the cabinets, we thought we could paint them and repurpose them, but what we found is a lot of the drawers were really hard to pull. They just felt cheap, and we decided it'd be better to kind of give it the look we were going for, to go ahead and replace those. We did also take out some upper cabinets here and add 2 new can lights there over the little breakfast bar nook here, and put all new granite in. If you're in the Cincinnati area, hit up my friends at Anything Granite. Always hook up all of our projects, and this was no exception here. So love the way this turned out. Obviously brand new stainless steel appliances just to get all those matching in there, and I think this turned out pretty sweet. And we did end up putting a new sliding door going out to the little screened-in porch area here, just to kind of match the look and feel. The old one was it was original, and we decided it just had to go. All right, let's check out the downstairs. If you remember down here, this was an ugly yellow fireplace with lovely wood paneling along the outside. Went ahead and just painted all of those, gave it kind of just a nice clean look, went along with this gray vibe that we're going with, and some sweet little planters up there. Didn't do a lot in this bedroom either, but did put carpet on all of the lower floor levels and painted the trim and walls to kind of make it pop. All right. Super happy with how all of the bathrooms in this house turned out. A good buddy of ours at We Floor and More hooked all these up. These bathrooms were really bad, and honestly the worst part of the house, and I think the biggest transformation. But all new tile flooring in here, new vanity toilets, etc., and all the fixtures. Gave it some paint and brightened it up. Not a whole lot here in the laundry room. It just kind of kept that LVT throughout. Probably should have changed that cabinet. That's an ugly yellow cabinet there, but it's just the laundry room. So kind of got forgotten off the list. All right, let's head upstairs, check out the upstairs bathrooms and the bedrooms. All right, same thing up here with carpet, painted trim, painted walls. Lots of patching on these walls. They're just really old drywall. Let's check out the first full bath upstairs. See, all new tile in here. Did end up keeping the tub in place, but all new black fixtures, nice white subway tile, and new vanity toilet there. So mostly cosmetic, but we did take this down to the studs and put all new drywall in just to keep everything fresh. All right, now on to the master bedroom. One of the things we did do upstairs I was happy we were able to pull off was put in all new ceiling fans in all the bedrooms. Before, all of these rooms were just lighted by a lamp that attached to, the switch went to one of these outlets over here. So happy we were able to do that. I think adds a ton of value and just makes the rooms much more useful, frankly. This might be my favorite room of the house, how we transformed this master bath. This was the Tar Heel blue tile. You can't forget that one if you saw our before video. Took this all the way down, redid everything up to the ceiling there, even put tile up there. All new lights, new fixtures, new vanity toilet, etc. here. And unfortunately, I have not gotten an upgrade. I still look the same. All right, we'll check out bedroom number 2 over here. Again, just replaced the bright red carpet that was in here, cleaned up the walls, painted them, and kept it moving. Did also paint all the closet doors, put new pulls on those to make it kind of that clean new look. New handles on all the doors. All right, and if you remember this bedroom, we did already have this hardwood in place and just decided to keep that there. At one point we talked about refinishing it, but our guys were just so booked out that it didn't make sense, and we wanted to get this thing listed on the market. So didn't do a whole lot in here, but just gave it a nice new paint touch up, cleaned up the trim and doors. All right, so I'm gonna sit down here and now we're gonna talk just quickly about some of the lessons learned that definitely I had during this first full-on flip experiment. So as you remember, I've done several rehabs on a lot of other properties, but I like to burr out of them and keep them as rental properties. So this one I had to make a deliberate decision in the beginning, and I'm glad we did, because it did end up spending a lot more than we were planning on, and it really just wouldn't make sense as a rental. So I did want to just touch on some of the big things that are lessons learned for me that I'll roll into the next deal on, and we'll make that hopefully a better experience. So my one other goal with this in the beginning was to not do any of the work myself. I wanted to sub all this out so I could spend my time focusing on finding the next deal on higher dollar per hour activities in the business. So if you're curious how that worked out, it was a big fail. All right, so while I did contract out a lot of the big jobs, towards the end there were just too many small things that it was hard to get someone over here to just wrap up these tiny items. So I did find myself coming over here quite often to wrap up a small job, hang a mirror, something like that. So spent much more time in this house than I would like, but I think in the future kind of assigning a GC to the whole project would eliminate that for me, and that's something I'm gonna try on the next one. So the second big thing was over rehabbing this place. So while it turned out beautiful, I'm really happy with the end product. I went way over budget, and I think I could have cut corners in other places to kind of just clean things up rather than full on gut and replace. So this is my first one. If you watch the HGTV stuff, you want to make it look pretty, but I think a lot of the professional investors focus on returns and kind of getting the place safe and accommodating, and then listing it instead of kind of over putting too much money into the house. So that's something I want to keep in mind and be mindful of going forward on the next project, to have some help on what are the things that we can kind of reuse rather than pull out and replace. All right guys, now the part I think a lot of you are probably interested in, and that's where we're gonna walk through the numbers. And the only reason that I decided to do this, I was a little reluctant, but really just to help educate anyone else who might be thinking about taking on a flip. A lot of the shows and other videos that I watch, I rarely see them talk about all the expenses that you really have to factor in when you're doing something like this. So I wanna walk you through everything that we paid out on this project, what we put into it, what we made on it, in just hopes that it helps you out, helps just provide a better education on what it's really like to flip a house and what you can really expect to make off that, not just the we paid X, we put X into it and the rest is profit, So with that, let's walk through the numbers. I'm also going to share with you something that I could have never dreamed of that happened to us after we sold this house, but we'll get into that in just a minute. So I'm going to start off kind of walking through all the numbers here. All right, so we bought the property for $110,000. Next, I'm just going to rattle off some fees. We paid just over $4,300 in bank fees. We did use hard money on this particular project. Usually we use private money, but the timing just didn't work and we had to close on a specific date. So that $4,300 kind of comprised itself of, we paid 2 points, and other fees, appraisals, and just kind of inspection stuff related like that made up the rest of it. So 2 points is a little bit high on the hard money side, but you kind of do what you got to do to close a deal sometimes. So the next line item is closing cost. We paid, looks like right at $3,900 in closing costs. We typically pay all closing costs when we buy, and then on the sell side it's negotiable. The offer we got didn't ask us to pay, so it did include some, transfer, some fees like that, but $3,900 in closing costs. We paid $2,600 in property tax. We paid $819 in insurance. We paid $642 in utilities. $3,600 in interest payments. So with private and hard money, typically you're going to pay interest only payments for every month that you have the loan open. So this is incentivizing you to get the deal done quicker. But as we talked about before, it took a little longer than we hoped. But I think this was interest only at 9%. And that came out to $3,600 over the life of the loan. Next line item is staging. This isn't something we were planning on doing, but we found a great stager in the area, and the price was actually very reasonable. So we paid $1,250 to have the property staged. Hope you saw, but we thought it turned out really awesome. So really happy with that. We did put a security system in this property as well. That was $600 in monthly monitoring fees. Not sure if we'll do that again in the future, but it did give us a little sense of comfort, you know, leaving a bunch of stuff at the property every night and with contractors in and out, materials, things like that. So in the grand scheme, $600 isn't much. So and then the next line item, this is the big one. This is the one that most people only talk about, and that is the rehab. And this includes materials, contractors, labor, everything in total that we put into the property was at $63,000. So this is the one that you really only hear about in the other avenues. So all the ones prior to this, I just want you to be aware of and that you factor in when you do that. But as you can see, $63,000 is a lot higher than we hoped for. I think we had projected to be 50 to 55, and on a percentage basis, that is not so good to go over budget so much, but we talked about the reasons why before, and after all, this was an experiment for us to learn, to get into this business and to just, you know, learn something, and we were hoping to make a profit or break even, and we did that. So no worries, we're taking lessons learned on with us. So that puts our all-in cost, so everything I've talked about so far, that puts our all-in cost, including the purchase of the house, at a $191,700. So $191,000 roughly. All right, so we sold the property. We listed on the market on Friday. I think we have 4 or 5 offers by Sunday. We sold the property for $249,500. All right, so most of the times, this is where you hear, well, you put in $191 and you sold for $249, then that's your profit. Well, you know, there's a lot of other things that go into that. So first, we paid commissions. So we paid just right at $15,000 in commissions. That brought our net to us, the net to seller, at $234,500. All right, so that's what our take home is. Before we pay off the loans associated with buying that, all the hard money, paying ourselves back for all that money we put into the property. So that would put our gross profit at just over $42,000. So $42,000 gross profit. But then if you remember in the beginning, I told you about something I could have never expected happen, and that was me receiving this video from the selling agent a day after we closed on the property. So obviously, that's never what you want to see. No one could have ever expected that. I mean, we owned the property for 6 months, never had any issues, but we also weren't using the property day in and day out. So what we found out that happened was that when the contractor put the toilet on, they actually smashed the wax ring in a couple spots before they, you know, while they were trying to place it, and water was seeping out of that gap. And because we weren't using the toilet every day, we didn't know about it. The inspector flushed the toilet on inspection, and there were no moisture problems then, but I guess repeated use just caused this to happen. So freak accident, we didn't know anything about it. We didn't know how to handle this when they sent this to us, right? They're freaked out. They were first-time home buyers getting into a house where water's coming through the ceiling, right? So we found out that we weren't actually liable to fix this. However, we're in this business for the long run, and my reputation means more to me than a price tag that I could even think of off the top of my head. So we wanted to make this right, even though we had no idea that the problem existed, and neither did they. But we want a good reputation in the community, a good reviews, and just overall to be able to sleep at night and to feel like we did the right thing. And so we definitely took care of this for them. We first sent someone out to fix the problem. We paid for that. We paid for the drywall to be cut out so we can at least make sure no mold started to form. So from there were a little debate on how we remediate the problem, since it was actual toilet water coming out. And what we settled on was we covered their deductible to have their insurance insurance company out and actually fully replace some flooring and some of the ceiling as well. So all in all, it only cost us $1,800 to have that fixed, which we were thinking it was going to be a lot worse than that. But we felt good about actually taking care of the problem, you know, standing behind the work that we did, and just feeling like we did business the way that it should be done. All right, so anyway, back to the numbers. That puts our gross profit at $41,000. And another thing that you don't hear a lot of flippers talk about or on the TV shows is when you make a quick profit in the United States, the government's definitely going to get their piece of the pie. And when you make a profit in less than a year, you fall under short-term capital gains, which for us is roughly around 25%. So after you factor that in, that brings our profit after taxes right at $32,000. So this also doesn't factor in the cost to acquire the deal. So we run a direct-to-seller marketing business. It cost us a mail to blast out to get in touch with the seller. We have fixed costs associated with keeping that business open and running. So that $32,000 isn't something you just go to the beach with, right? That goes back into the business to keep things running. Got to keep the lights on. I got to keep people happy in the business. So I hope that helps just to provide a full picture on, yes, you can make money, but you do have to factor in a lot of things that you don't hear other people talk about. And this can be a profitable business if you refine it, fine-tune it, and scale it up, which is what we're trying to do. We hope we can roll a lot of the lessons learned into future deals and continue to build out this business. But guys, if this was helpful at all, please let us know in the comments below. Let me know if you like just the before and after pics. Do you like just the numbers part? Or do you like the lessons learned? This video is just for you guys to hopefully learn from the stuff we're doing and to kind of share that out there, and so we can all learn together. So I would love to hear what you guys thought was helpful and what was boring. So drop those below. And also, if you did get something out of this, all I would ask is if you drop a like or subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We are starting to get some small growth, but any help would be appreciated. So with that, guys, we'll catch you on the next deal. I'm Tyler Wehrung, and we'll see you next time.